What's up, everybody? So, I actually just realized that I completed the 8 episodes of Storytime with DeeJay. I didn't even realize it after I recorded the last episode because I was just creating. But I originally just said that I was going to create 8 episodes and see where it goes from there. So I think what I might do, I think I might take a break from Storytime with DeeJay because I haven't really been getting uh, too many stories and just replacing it with something else, but something very similar. This is still kind of the format that I'm going to use because I kind of just want to, I want to stay in that creation mode and I'll just see what kind of comes up with that. But again, this would be more like a podcast style. So something that I'm talking about it out loud, something that I catch myself doing a lot. I kind of catch myself having like these fake interviews or these pretend interviews where it's like someone asks me a question and I'll catch myself saying the answer out loud as if I'm having like a real conversation with someone. And, sometimes that goes on out loud and sometimes it just goes on in my head. And I figure, like, why wait for someone to ask me a question when I can just put on a camera and record and have my own interview show interviewing myself. And that makes me think of something else. I had a conversation with one of my family members, and I've been releasing a lot more videos. And some of the feedback that I got from it was, I'm kind of concerned. I'm paraphrasing here, so I may not get it exactly if this person is watching. But there was concern that I may be coming off as self-centered and only focused on myself and what it is that I'm going after, achieving, and things of that nature. And I thought it was a fair point. I said, hey, well, yeah, I think it's definitely possible that it can be perceived as that from the outside looking in. But the beautiful thing about what I'm learning in life is that once you kind of understand who it is that you are, it kind of lessens the blows of something that may have offended you before or something that may have discouraged you before. Because I definitely don't want to come off as self-centered because I don't feel like I am a self-centered person. So like in the past, maybe that someone saying that to me would have disencouraged me from creating or doing what it is that I'm doing right now. But because I know who I am and I know why it is that I'm creating these videos and the people that I'm hoping to reach with these videos, whether now or later, whenever they look back at these, I know that I'm not coming from a self-centered place. And with that being said, just because someone interprets that being the case or interprets that is what I'm doing, it doesn't mean that that's what I'm doing. That may be the reality for them, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to adopt that. And I just thought that was such a powerful principle because if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you stand for and you don't know what you value and you're just kind of going off of what other people are saying, then there's a lot of issues that can come with that. Like, let's say I didn't know who I was. And let's say like I was just creating because I want everybody in the world to like me, right? Then that one comment would have just completely steamrolled me. I'd be like, oh no, man, I have to question like what it is that I'm thinking, what it is that I'm going to say, what it is that I'm going to do, because I don't want this person to think that I'm this way whenever I know that I'm not. Rather than just creating what it is that I want to create and dealing with whatever comes with that. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. I can kind of go into it a little bit more. There's a point where you have to be okay with someone seeing you in a way that you're not and being okay with that. And the response that I gave to my family member that told me this, that he thinks that I may be coming off as self-centered, is, hey, I understand that some people may interpret me as self-centered, and I'm okay with that. That's kind of just comes with creating. After you create what you create, it's up to whoever it is that they're interpreting. It's up to them how they're going to take that and respond to that. But again, when who you're talking to, that makes things a little bit easier. But with that being said, I also appreciated the feedback, because I was like, well, if it becomes an issue, a bigger issue, then I'll address it then. Like right now, not a lot of people is listening to this. Not a lot of people is watching this. And really it's me like just getting reps in, right? It's just me getting better at talking, me getting better at creating, me staying in the creation mindset. And if it ever becomes a point to where like a lot of people are saying it, then maybe I can reflect on it a little bit and say, okay, maybe why is that the case? Because I even asked, I don't know if I did ask, because I think he just kind of told me why he thought that was the case. And I listened to all those points. Like I took them all into consideration, but I didn't agree with it. And I think that's okay. I think that's perfectly okay when someone gives you their perspective and you don't agree with it. That's perfectly okay. Because one of the other things that they were saying was, because I made a video about ignoring the noise. I was talking about something very specific to me, but I thought it would help other people. But they took it as ignore what everybody says to you. Don't take advice from anybody. Don't hold yourself accountable, which is not what I meant at all. I'm actually a big fan of feedback. I'm a big fan of accountability. But some of that was referring to other people's feedback, because other people, not everyone's going to know what is best for you. Like they're just going to tell you, they're going to share their perspective of what they're seeing, and their perspective is very limited, just like my own perspective is very limited. So that's why it's a yin and yang. You know what I mean? Like there's no right or wrong balance. You have to find your own. So that was just one thing that happened this week. This is just going to be like a weekly wrap up. The other thing that happened, I actually have some list here that I want to refer to. Oh yeah. So this actually didn't happen this week. This happened a little while ago, but it was one of those things where I was pretending like I was on a podcast. I was listening to like a bunch of different podcasts, specifically dealing with acting. And there was a like I put myself in like the future of like I've already got this show, and like now I'm talking about like what was the things leading up to that. And I was like, why should I wait for someone to ask me this question? Let me just talk about it. So there was a thing that happened, I think it was like maybe a month ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. I actually don't remember. It was whenever I went to New York, and then I went to Atlanta. Leading up to that, so I told myself like I have to go to Atlanta because I need to film this thing for my marketing material. It was the Euphoria scene that I filmed, and things kept coming up. Little obstacles come up as they do when you set like a goal. Things just kept coming up. Like I was having car problems, and like I was trying to get those car problems fixed. And it just seemed like every little thing was coming up, like car problems and rent and all these what seemed to be like obstacles keeping me from purchasing the marketing material, like because I needed to pay for to shoot the scene. And I think it was like $370 to pay for it. And then I ended up having like a $1,200 car repair. And, but even when that happened, I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this as a challenge, right? I'm gonna use this as, how bad do I really want this? Am I gonna let this thing beat me? Am I gonna keep delaying it? Because I set a deadline for it. And, so I said, like, let me get resourceful. Let me get creative. And I ended up having these VFriend, card packets. I got like 6 of them, 6 boxes, because I ended up getting 2 Series 2 VFriends. And they came with a a box of collectible cards. And now in my mind, when I first got those cards, I was like, I'm gonna hold off for about 10 years. I'm not gonna open any of them. And then I'm just gonna sell them whenever they really pop, right? Because I saw like what happened with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I used to have Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and I took no kind of care of them. I actually had some cards that would have been very valuable. But I just, at the time, I was just like playing with the cards. They were all bent up and everything. So I was like, all right, I see what this could be, right? But after I had like the car repairs, I was like, all right, let's get creative. I know I'm gonna need some money. Let's see what's in these packets. And I ended up getting like some really good cards. Like I got some rares and stuff like that. And I ended up getting like a black cat, which I ended up selling for $400, and a patient pig that that is funny. I sold the patient pig for like $230, I think. And then I ended up dropping the card on its corner and it bent the card. So I ended up telling the guy that, hey man, I dropped your card. I'm sorry. I just want to know if you still wanted it. And he was like, I'll take it if it's discounted. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to discount it. I understand why you want that, but I would rather hold on to the card, get it graded, and maybe come back with like a 8 and hold on to it and just know that I'll make more money on it than just giving it away for like $70 or $80. So I ended up refunding him his money. Actually, I just canceled the order because he didn't pay for it. He didn't pay for it yet. But I ended up reposting it. I reposted it saying, hey, this card is bent. And I actually reposted it for higher than I sold it for originally, just because I was like, someone's going to offer something lower than this. Like, I think I posted it for like 400. And I was like, if I get anything higher than 150, I'm going to accept it. So I started setting up these little things, right? And like I said, these obstacles kept coming up. Car repair came up, and the bill was like $1,200. And I knew that I was gonna at least need my car to get to Atlanta, right? Which is funny enough, I ended up flying to Atlanta, but that's not the point. So after a while, I got the car paid for. I got the car repair paid for, and I had like $400 in my account, or close to it. And I still need to pay rent, right? So I was like, man, if I wait to earn the rent before I pay for this, that's gonna take me a week and a half. And then that's not saying if something else comes up. Like, who knows what's gonna come up. So I remember thinking, I was actually sitting right over here. There's a couch over here. You can't see it. It's off camera. I was sitting on this couch, and I just remember just looking at the session, like online. It said 370. And I was like, man, now or never. So I hit buy. Bought it, meaning I had $30 in my account after I bought it. And I just remember like feeling very uncomfortable because, like after your account goes under like a certain amount, you start feeling very uncomfortable. And I remember after I bought it, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go find somewhere to make money. So I go in my room, my room here. My phone was on the charger, and literally, I pick up my phone, and this is right after I bought it. I see I have a notification from eBay for an offer for the patient pig for, I think it was like for $220 or $220 or $230 or something like that. I'll find out what it was, but I just remember how I felt after that. Because I was like, I'm a big believer in coincidences. And I'm starting not even to call it coincidences anymore. Like, I'm a big believer when you have a mission and something that's bigger than yourself, that these quote unquote coincidences are not so random or lucky as they may seem. I truly feel like when you have a mission and you put your all into it and you start putting things into place that support that mission, that it takes a little bit of risk, and then it seems like you become guided. Like that's really what I believe. I believe that like I'm guided. I believe that I'm being guided, and that no matter what happens, no matter how hard things get or how difficult things get and how insurmountable some odds may seem, that I'm guided, that I won't, it won't stop me. And I just remember like from that moment on, because it made me think about everything else that happened before then. Like there's been times like this has happened multiple times, but for whatever reason, this particular time really sat in for me that I'm not going to be afraid to go to zero. And that's not just in financial terms. This is not financial advice, by the way. This is specifically my experience with what's going on. That I'm not afraid to go to zero. I'm not afraid to give my all and put everything that I have into something that I want. And whether that be financial, whether that be a relationship, whether that be my career, whether that be my body, I'm not afraid to go to zero. I'm not afraid to give my all for everything and give everything that I have for this thing and live with whatever happens, because I know on the other end of that, like I'm guided. So whatever obstacle that may come up, I know that on the other side of that is going to be exactly what I'm looking for. It may not come out how I thought it was going to be, but it's going to be exactly what I'm looking for. And I just remember after I saw that offer, I accepted it immediately, first and foremost, because like I said, I had $30 in my account. But I just remember I was just like jumping. I just had so much emotion. Like I was like yelling, screaming, I was punching pillows and just getting that emotion. Like it just felt like I just had an abundance of emotion and energy inside me. And I've experienced even more things like that. I won't go into them. But it's just really funny how life works when you really set your eyes on something that you want and you go after it with everything you have. I'm finding that it's so fulfilling. It's scary. It's scary as hell. I'm not gonna lie. It's scary and challenging because you're kind of facing yourself. It's like it's not even the obstacle that you're facing. It's yourself and your thoughts that you have about that obstacle. I'm finding, and believing in yourself that you can overcome this obstacle no matter what it is that you have to do. Like you may have to do things that you don't want to do, things that feel very uncomfortable, but just taking that courageous step. Like I posted something, like it only takes 6 seconds to take that first step, and then everything else is momentum. So it's just like overcoming that initial fear, that first 6 seconds, and just doing it and living with whatever happens and whatever you have to do after that. And it's amazing. It really, really is. So that's something that I wanted to talk about. What else was there that I wanted to talk about? There was other things. Oh yeah. I actually went live on Facebook. These are really not connected. Like I said, this is just things that I wanted to talk about. So, there was something that happened, I think like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, where I was leaving where it is that I live, and I seen somebody that I knew, and he asked me for a ride because he was about to be late for work, and apparently he had somebody that was supposed to give him a ride, but they were late, or they were either late or they weren't coming, and I think they weren't answering his calls or something like that. And he caught me on my way out. He was like, "Hey man, can you give me a ride? I'll give you $40, whatever." I was like, "Yeah man, come on, I'll give you a ride." He didn't work too far. He was like maybe like 15 minutes away from where I was going anyways. So I was like, "Yeah, come on." And this guy, he's in my car. We're riding, heading to his job, and he's already late. And he's stressed. He's on his phone texting. I don't know if he's texting the guy that was supposed to give him a ride or if he's texting the guy he works for. But he's stressed. And I remember we were very, very close to his job, and we were at like an intersection, and the light was turning green, and there was cars in front of us, and there was also cars behind us, and same on the other sides of the intersection. And this guy, he's texting on his phone. I'm keeping my eyes on the road, even though we're at a light. And on this side of the intersection, a car honks its horn at the car in front of it. And the guy that was on the phone looks up and looks behind us because he perceives it as the car behind us honked the horn at me, at us. And he just gets really, really upset, turns around saying, "What can we do? Huh? What can we do? There's a car in front of us. There's nothing we can do, nothing." So he just had this full live anger outburst at a car that he thought honked its horn at us, even though it was not even that car. And it made me do some thinking, because how often do we react to things that weren't meant for us because of the state that we're in? That was the biggest takeaway from that whole experience. Because I feel like you can learn from everything, and that's kind of what I learned from that, is that that was his reality. He really thought that car was honking at us, even though, again, it was not even in our vicinity. It was over there. And yeah, how often is it that we are perceiving something that may not necessarily be the case because we're in a stressed state, because we are upset, because we are stressed, because we are anxious, because we are angry. And because of that, when we get some kind of stimulus, let's say someone says, I think the hair that you have I think you're wearing your hair very interestingly, or something like that. Really bad example, but just go with it. They say something about your hair, they like the way you're wearing your hair. And because you're angry, you're thinking that they're being sarcastic, or you think that they're being funny, like they're trying to joke around with you. And that's actually not a great example, like I said, but yeah, it's just interesting. How we react to something that is just completely not meant for us, and the stories we tell ourselves about that. I think that's a better way to put it, because it can mean anything. For example, it rains, and because we're angry or because we're stressed, we think we're being punished or something like that. I think that's a better example. It makes more sense like that. But yeah, it's just not meant for us, man. It's just not meant for us. I don't even know if this is going to be released, honestly, because I feel like I'm all over the place. But actually, I am going to release it, because I think that's another thing that I've really been that I locked in on. That was my biggest takeaway from New York, is just to stay in the creation mindset. Even if you don't think it's good, even if you don't think what you're doing is great, just creating and knowing that it's a numbers game. So the more you create, the better it's going to get. And it takes bad ideas eventually lead to good ideas. So why stop yourself waiting for a good idea? Why would you wait for a good idea to come rather than just keep on creating and building that muscle for the good ideas to come? I was actually just having a conversation again with a family member where he was talking about, finding your audience and everything, and worrying about becoming stagnant, with just talking about one thing. And I think he had some really good points to what it was that he was saying. And one of the things that I kind of retorted back to him was like, yeah, man, I just been creating. Like I'm not staying in one thing. Like I said, the story time with DJ thing, that was just something that I said I was going to do, and I had fun with it, and I may come back to it. But I'm doing that, and I'm also doing skits, and I'm also doing acting, and I'm also like, I'm living my life, and I'm making content out of the things that I'm doing while living my life. And I'm not trying to, I'm always in the mind of like, how can I make something out of this, right? Also, how can I have fun, and how can I enjoy what I'm doing? Obviously, that's first and foremost. But also, like, can I make something out of this? Can I make something? Can I create something with this that I can share with others? And I don't think all of them's gonna hit. Like, there's some of my videos get like 20 views, 17 views. The YouTube videos, some of my videos only have 1 view. And I'm not stopping creating just because that's the case. Obviously, I'm trying to grow. I'm growing. I have goals and things of growing my audience and growing those numbers. But I also think that there's something to be said about, staying in that creation mindset. Just creating, creating, and not settling for the excuse. Because I think waiting for a good idea to come can be an excuse not to create. At least that's been my experience with it. I'm not talking about anybody in specific. I'm talking specifically about me. And to get out of that, I'm just creating, and some people may resonate with it. Some people may not, but something that I'm finding though, like there are people that are responding to it. It's not a lot of people, but I'm okay with that because I know that it only takes one, and then you can build off of that. And it goes back to what I said a little while ago with, I forget which episode it was, but like how everybody who is hugely successful, I find that they always celebrate their small wins. And if I grow my audience by one person, that's a win. Obviously, you want more than that, but it's baby steps. Just baby steps. Just baby steps. This video is 28 minutes long, so I'm thinking I'm going to wrap it up. Let me see if I have anything else. Oh, yeah, so one last thing I want to talk about, because this was a huge one. This goes back to separate topic. This goes back to just like good ideas, bad ideas, eventually leading to good ideas. Like, it brings me to Lil Wayne. I remember they used to talk about how he used to write, and then he got writer's block or something like that. And he eventually went into the studio, had everything that he wrote down, and just started rapping over beats. And after he got through the notebook of the stuff that he wrote down, he no longer wrote anymore. He just did everything like off the top, right? That's kind of what I'm doing with like my ideas. Like anytime I have a video idea, I write it down and then I just do it. I don't care. I try not to let the excuse of, well, I don't have the equipment to do that, I don't have the team to do that. I just do it. And that way I get all my ideas out rather than just sitting on them like, okay, yeah, I'll get to that. And then never just having a head full of ideas and never doing anything, right? So I say all that to say, this is one of those ideas that I had, or one of those things, one of those thoughts that came to my mind that I knew that I wanted to speak on. And it has to deal with goals. And I started thinking because, once you start moving into areas that you haven't really worked on before and haven't seen much success in, it can be very easy to get discouraged when you're setting big goals. And you might set goals that are less big or aren't as big because my camera had reached the maximum limit and my battery's about to die. So I think I'll wrap up this. I don't know if I'm gonna stitch these together or just make it a whole nother separate thing. But as I was saying, that it can be very easy to get discouraged when you're setting goals in a new area in life. let's take career, for example. Like if you haven't made a lot of progress in your career and you start setting goals for your career, it can be easy to set goals that aren't as ambitious because you're scared that you're not going to be able to do it because you haven't before, right? And that's kind of where I was at. That's kind of where I was at for a long time, and it's something that I challenge myself with every day to set bigger and bigger goals for my career. And a thought came to my mind because I forget who said it, but they said like use past successes, learn from those patterns, and apply them to these new things. And there are areas in my life that I'm really good at, like health for a reason, like health. Like I'm really good at gaining and losing weight and getting to a desired weight that I want to get to because I have a lot of success in that. I've done that a lot of times in the past. For whatever reason, like let's say, for example, I wanted to gain weight for a sport thing. I know how to do that. I know how to lose weight. I know how to gain weight very, very easily. And I started to remember back whenever I was setting those goals for my weight of when I was off track, I would never say like, oh shoot, man, I guess this will never happen. Like if I woke up one morning and I was supposed to be a certain weight by this day and I was like a pound or two over or a pound or two under, I wouldn't then look at that weight and be like, oh man, I'm off track. It looks like I'll never get this thing going. I guess I might as well just stop. That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. It's like, no, you use that information and you adjust accordingly. And taking that principle and applying it to career. Like if I have a goal to be on a show, which I do, Euphoria season 3, series regular. That's the goal right now. And let's say like I haven't made the progress that I wanted to for the week for that goal. It'd be crazy of me to get discouraged because I didn't make the progress that I wanted to make for that week. All right. I didn't hit some of the things that I wanted to hit. And I then use that to say, well, it looks like it's never going to happen. I might as well just give up. Cause then it would never happen. Cause I would stop all the effort and the energy required to do it. So I think it is important to like just use those past successes and learn from those and apply it to these new things. Because it's like, okay, no, I didn't make any progress or make the progress that I wanted. Did I make any progress? What progress did I make? Okay, what didn't go good this week? Why didn't I make the progress that I didn't want to make? It's the same thing I did for when I was losing weight or gaining weight. I'd be like, all right, so I didn't hit this weight. Why didn't I do that? Did I eat something that I shouldn't have ate? Did I eat a bunch of things that I shouldn't have ate? Did I not eat enough? And then you just kind of use that information and just adjust. So that's something that I find very, very important, that I'm finding. And hopefully that's helpful to someone who is also on this journey of, setting ambitious goals for whatever thing. The last thing I'll talk about, referring back to like the first story that I told that may not even be in this video of when my family member said that I think you may be too focused on self-promoting and being self-centered and achieving and doing all these things. When I talk about achieving, I don't just mean achieving in career. I'm talking about achieving in just anything in life that you want. You can achieve in your body and your health. You can achieve in your family and your relationships and your intimate relationships. You can achieve in your money, financial goals, and your fun and the entertainment and the fun that you have in your life. Like I have these areas that I want to improve in. And if I'm making progress to those things, that's what I'm referring to when I'm saying achieving. Unless I'm specifically talking about a specific area, like when I say being on that show, then yeah, but I say all that to say that you don't have to necessarily use what I'm saying and apply it to what it is that I'm referring to. You can apply these things and these, because again, I just feel like I'm like a messenger. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. I'm just sharing what I'm going through, sharing my experience with what I've gone through so far, and hopefully someone is resonating with it because they're going through similar things. So you can use this and apply it to wherever it is that you're at in life. You know, we're all at different places. Some people may be higher, some people may be lower, some people may be dealing with something completely different. But yeah, like, use what works, toss what doesn't. That's what I say. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. This video was only 5 minutes, but the last video was like 30. So we'll see what happens with that. And see you guys next video.